Dear Class 9 students, in today's video, we are going to discuss a lesson from the Moments book, Chapter 6, Weathering the Storm in Arsama. Weathering the Storm in Arsama. You know, Arsama is a block, a tehsil, comes in the coastal state of Orissa. Comes in the coastal state of Orissa. Here, a devastation brought about in 1999 by a super cyclone. 27th October 1999. Because of that super cyclone, the Arsama block was fully underwater and devastated the entire block. The story begins like this. On 27th October 1999, 7 years after his mother's death. Whose mother? Prashant. Prashant is the central figure, main character of this story, whose commitment to the public, whose commitment to the family is clearly mentioned here. 7 years after his mother's death, Prashant's mother's death, Prashant had gone to the block headquarters of Arsama, a small town in coastal Orissa. Some 18 kilometers from his village to spend the day with a friend. Yes, Prashant's village. From Prashant's village to the Arsama block, it covers 18 kilometers distance. There he went to meet his old friends. In the evening, a dark and menacing storm quickly gathered. Menacing means a very dangerous and harmful storm took place along with the heavy rain. Here, winds beat against the house with a speed and fury that Prashant had never witnessed before. Such a heavy wind blown, extreme wind blown, heavy and incessant rain filled the darkness. Incessant rain, unceasing, continuous rain was pouring, downpour was taking place there in the night. It started in the night and continued for a long time. And ancient means old trees were uprooted and crashed to the earth. Yes, the trees were uprooted and crashed to the earth. And it was a very bitter experience for the people of Arsama, and it was a big devastation for the life and property of the people. Scream rain filled the air. Scream rain filled the air as people and houses were swiftly washed away. The angry waters swilled, moved or flowed along with a whirling motion. That is known as swill. Swill means a very whirling motion into his friend's house, neck deep water. Water rise up to the neck. The building was of brick and mortar. Brick and mortar means mortar is a mixture of lime, cement, sand and water used to construct building. That is the mortar. Such buildings and was strong enough to survive the devastation of the winds. Velocity of 35 kilometers per hour. The wind blown 35 kilometers per hour. That was the speed of the wind. But the cold terror of the family grew with the crashing of trees that had got uprooted and fallen on their house sometime in the middle of the night, damaging its roof and walls. So the many families were badly affected because of the super cyclone, and many of the houses were fully destroyed and devastated and brought much damage to each house, each roof and walls. The crazed destruction wrought means produced as a result of something by the cyclone and the surge means gush of the ocean continued to the next 36 hours. Yes, next 36 hours the wind and the downpour continued. Although wind speeds was reduced somewhat by the next morning, the velocity of the wind reduced, it became low. To escape the waters rising the house, Prashant and his friend's family had taken refuge on the roof, taken shelter on the roof. That picture you can see here. In order to save their life from the rising water, they went on the roof of the house and saved themselves by sitting there. Here you can see Prashant will never forget the shock he experienced at his first glimpse of the devastation wrought by the super cyclone in the grey light of the early morning. Prashant will never forget the shock and the experiences and the devastation wrought by the super cyclone that Prashant cannot forget in his life. A raging, deadly brown sheet of water covered everything as far as the eye could see. Only fractured cement houses, broken cement houses still stood in a few places. Bloated animal carcasses means swollen dead bodies of the animals and human corpses floated in every direction. Human corpse and the carcasses, dead bodies of the animals, one can see floating on water. All around, even huge old trees had fallen. 2 coconut trees had fallen on the roof of their house. This was a blessing in disguise, an apparent misfortune that eventually has good results. The fallen coconut tree, from the tree they collected some tender coconuts, and that was the only food they got for some days. Because of the tender or the soaked or raw coconut from the tree kept the trapped family from starving in the several days that followed. That was the only food they got. They took during this so the time they spent on the roof of the house. For the next 2 days, Prashant sat huddled together in a group. Huddled means together in a group with his friends, family in the open on the rooftop. They froze the cold and the incessant rain. The rainwater washed away Prashant's tears. Yes, water washed away Prashant's tears means everywhere, not very few people affected. So many people affected in that block because of the super cyclones, devastation. The only thought that flashed through his mind, came to his mind, was whether his family had survived. The fury of the super cyclone, devastation of the super cyclone was to be bereaved, means to have lost a family member or a friend to death once again, buried once again. His thought, his mind was roaming, and he was thinking about his own family, where they survived or not, where they lost their life or not. He wanted to see them as soon as possible, so he decided to leave from there. 2 days later, which seemed to Prashant like 2 years, 2 days were seemed as 2 years. In rain ceased, stopped, and the rainwater slowly began to reduce. Prashant was determined to seek out his family without further delay. But the situation was still dangerous, and his friends' family pleaded with Prashant to stay back a little while longer, but Prashant knew he had to go. Prashant's friends' family were not ready to send Prashant back to his home because of this dangerous situation. They were trying to stop him for a while to reduce the water, but Prashant already decided, he wanted to see his family members as soon as possible. Dear friends, with this, I am winding up this video session here. The rest of the lesson we will discuss in another video. Till then, thank you. Have a nice time.